Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Yes, we are
Shruti.
live. Very good evening, Mr. Madhav. Good evening, everybody. Welcome or welcome back to English Yaari's live session. Yes, I can see a lot of people already waiting. Okay, you're on time. Hello, Fezil. Hello, Webhav. Okay, Webhav says that, how are you, ma'am? How are you, sir? So, yes, Mr.
Well,
Madhav, how
well.
are you doing today?
Oh, I'm well. I'm full of beans, already pumped up for the day.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you all are having a sparkling evening. And as you know, we have a legacy every Sunday. We come live sharp at 7. And when we see you people waiting that to before time, it brings us immense joy. And with this excitement that we are going to learn a lot today, let's start with our today's session. Are you excited, Mr. Madhav?
As I said, fully pumped up. And thank you for having this. I mean, it's so wonderful to be here today. And especially being live with so many people who are ready to learn and make lives better and make their presentation skills better. What better than that on a Sunday evening? Anyway, the evening was pretty boring, so I thought this is a way better option.
Okay, don't worry. I must tell you that we have amazing learners. Whenever we come live, they throw so many, great questions and interesting questions. So I'm sure you're going to have bowl today in the session.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, we can see a lot of people already. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Very, very good evening to all of you. So, as we wait for others to join from various parts of our country, I want you all to guess the today's session topic. What are we going to talk about? Though Mr. Madhav gave a little hint, let's see whether you checked out what are we going to talk on today. Okay, we have so many people. Naval, then Farooq, Pola, Ishan. Good evening, everybody. We are doing absolutely amazing, and we are happy to be here again with you. Okay, Manmohan got it right. He says presentation skills. Yes, absolutely, Manmohan. See, whatsoever you say, we have to bring it on. So, in the chat section, when we asked you, what do you want our next topic to be, you all gave a word to presentation skills. And here we are with Mr. Madhav to have a word on presentation skills. So, Mr. Madhav, as we are going to dive in the art of presentation skills, and as you have a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this field, I want you to let our learners know what actually presentation skill entails.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, a warm evening here in northern part of India. It's still pretty chill. So the people who are from other parts of India where it's not so chill, a warm evening to you too.
True.
Well, presentation is what? That's a wonderful question to begin with. Anything that we do where we present something usually to a formal audience. Sometimes it can be a mix of a semi-casual, semi-formal audience also, but usually a formal audience. Maybe in a audio-video format, maybe with a presentation, PPT or a slide, or sometimes even without it. But the purpose is to inform or educate the select audience. That's roughly what presentation stands for. Now, it can be on any topic. It could be related to your work, your education, your academics, or something where you're pitching for yourself. For example, Shark Tank India, people are pitching for their services or their products. That's
True.
also a form of presentation, and people get creative with it. Yeah, so precisely that's what presentation is all about. Where you're doing something to either inform or educate people about your product, your service, or your ongoing progress about something that you're working on. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. That's truly important. And Mr. Madhav, I hope you would agree to me whenever we take sessions. Every now and then we tell our learners, no matter what kind of words you choose, you still need to have the idea of how should I bring things on table, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are so many things that we can think about when it comes to a presentation. Most of the times we get, a little bogged down by who we are. Like we make ourselves so important. Like, what are people thinking about me? Am I doing the right presentation or not? Is my English good enough or not? These are some of the fears that all of us have, including myself, I would say so. But, as we mature in the process, we understand that it's not really about us. It's about first the audience who is there to whom you're presenting, And second, it's the content that you're delivering. Obviously, the third and most important thing is how you're doing it. So making the audience the important part of it, and then working on the way we are presenting it and the content that we are presenting is primal, is primary here. Like, we get so, bogged down, we get so nervous, sometimes even, arrogant, and sometimes too scared, because we are putting ourselves in the center, somewhere in the back of the mind, even though not consciously, maybe in a subconscious. The way we put the other things out, out in the open as the more important things, this nervousness, this, this feeling of I'm not good enough, or all things will fade away easily, very quickly, right? So we can actually discuss a lot of do's and don'ts. Shruti, if you could start something, then I would quickly add up.
And I must say, you just ate my word. I was about to ask you that when it comes to presentation skills,
Hmm.
people often get nervous before giving the
Yes,
presentation. So,
right.
what can be done to calm their nerves down and appear confident? Because at last, it's all about how you present yourself, how good you
Absolutely.
are able to transfer your thoughts to the other
Yes,
person.
yes.
So,
And
when you
you
are
you
teaching presentation skills,
yeah,
what
yeah.
kind of things you do to just calm down yourself for a while?
Right. Now, I would go back to my school days, when I used to be a very nervous kid back in middle school, and the way to learn something or master something, acing something, starts with broken attempts, failed attempts. So anyone who is feeling nervous today, no matter what your age is, 15 or 35 or 65, doesn't matter, or even beyond, in the initial days, or the initial first a couple of times, it's okay to feel a little nervous. Let's accept it. We are all humans, and when we are doing something new, there's a reptilian brain, the amygdala, that makes you feel nervous about an uncomfortable situation, because all of us are in a survivor mode sometimes. That freeze, fight, flight mode that happens. So when that kicks in, it's okay to feel a little nervous a couple of times, but as we go through it, as we grow through it, that nervousness will gradually reduce. Now, I'm giving a long lecture. I'm sorry about that. But
No.
this is something that we cannot ignore, that this is human tendency to be nervous. Some people have a natural gift of being extrovert in their ways and being, right? It's okay for them. For the rest of us who are not so extroverted, we can take our sweet little time. Now, this is the philosophic part. Now, coming to practically, how do we do it? One is, if you are feeling nervous but you have time before presenting, whatever you're presenting, take a few couple of long deep breaths. In fact, there is a science called 6 seconds pause. So if 6 seconds, for the first 6 seconds, if you pause before starting and take long deep breaths, then the flow of, or the infusion of oxygen into your blood increases by multiple folds, and that reduces the cortisol in your body, and enhances the oxygen level in your body. That helps you relax a lot. That is one technique. There's another technique called PMR. It's called progressive muscle relaxation. It would be difficult to show that here, but definitely you can Google it. It's very simple technique, how you relax your muscle for 2 minutes and get started. Now, these are some of the tricks and ways of doing it. But beyond that, the best and the most effective thing is prepare well, rehearse as much as you can. There's nothing that beats preparation and rehearsal. It may make you feel a little nervous even while preparing, but you will see the magic when you actually do it. The presentation, the preparation will really help, right? These are some of the things that really
And
work.
absolutely, and I would like to give a shout out to Abhijit because he says that I think best thing in to present your ideas is to stay calm down and take deep breath whenever
Yes.
you're presenting yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to him again. I think Gaurav says the scare is the right word when we talk about presenting yourself. Yes, when we
Very nice.
present yourself, when we are all scared, Gaurav, and that acceptance itself will take away that fear gradually.
And dear learners, the reason we are here to talk on presentation skill is first of all to address the doubts and queries you have. So feel free to put your ideas down and what kind of issues you face whenever you are giving a presentation. And as
Hmm.
Mr. Madhav says, presentation is not just for the working professionals that hey, you have to present in front of your boss or in front of your manager. Even when you step out of your home for simple things, let's suppose you're going to get groceries, you're presenting yourself. when you come in the session, you're presenting your thoughts with your
True.
friends, family. Every time it's all about presentation. So sometimes people confuse themselves. I want to be good in spoken English, or should I be focusing more on my presentation skills? So how would you set these apart?
Right. And yes, some of the things that we often forget, that presentation is not necessarily about making it, look very formal. Sometimes if a stand-up comedian is presenting himself or herself, they're not making anything serious over there. A sprinkle of humor here and there is quite possible. For example, if the marketing team has done really well in the previous quarter and they are having a celebratory meeting, even in the corporate office, people can be joyful about it and sprinkle a bit of a humor here and there. On the contrary, if you're having a marketing meeting because the targets have not been met, there you go into humor. It could be really backfiring bad on you, right? So having that sense of
Important
judgment,
example.
yes, having that sense of judgment about the context is really, really important.
Absolutely. Yes. I could see people writing it down, and Kusum says that in my school days when I participated, so I realized we should get basic knowledge of the topic, and then same I was doing like deep breathing and really relaxing things or activities that she mentioned.
Right.
When it comes to school days, many a times when I say in my sessions that whenever you get any opportunity, grab it up in your school or in your college,
Yes,
but their
absolutely.
majority of our learners, their college life is done, their school life is
Yeah.
done. Then what
Yeah.
should be done to practice? Tell me.
Yes, yes. I think that's a very, very relevant question. Because our conditioning is that presentation is about a closed room, people sitting in front of you, and then you have a PPT and you're scrolling your PPT and then you're showing about something. We have to get out of that idea. Presentation is presenting yourself in any scenario where there's an audience. Maybe like you are at a wedding, at a wedding and you're being introduced, your spouse or your father or someone is introducing you to a group of people, maybe his ex-colleagues or something. At that moment, maybe just for the next 30 seconds, you are actually presenting yourself. And that presentation does not have to look like a formal presentation. Whether do your namaste or an adab or a good evening or a handshake could be the initial response to that introduction. I mean, you being introduced. And then you could talk about, hey, how are you? Or namaste, sorry, or how have you been? Or whatever. Whatever fits that occasion is the perfect response as a presentation. Making yourself presentable in the occasion is also a form of presentation.
Absolutely. I think now they got more clarity because, as you said, we still have this notion it's all about presenting and a nightmare. Or I think I've seen a meme. You always doubt what if I'm sharing the screen or any other tab opens up. So it can be nerve wracking. True. Here we have an important question, and this it's by Dave. Dave says, "What should be done if we get stuck at a point while giving presentations?" And I think it happens many a times, Mr. Madhav.
Yes, right. It happens to all of us, Shruti, isn't it? Like it's not just to Dev, the coder, or Shruti or me. It happens to all of us because we all are human. We all are humans. One thing is that we may forget sometimes. Second thing is that we may get nervous. Third is that we may get a question from the audience which we are not prepared. Now, the first thing is hold your nerves. Nothing is going to kill you there. Maybe you're already feeling judged. That is what is causing this trouble in your mind. But relaxing for like 5 seconds or 2 3 seconds will give you that edge over your own nervousness. It's okay to not know answers. Sometimes we can just simply say, oh, I'm so sorry, it was a beautiful question, but I'm not aware of how to answer this right now. I'll get back to you for sure, and I appreciate you for asking this wonderful question. Being humble and honest sometimes works wonders instead of beating around the bush. If we don't know the answer, now coming to the second scenario, if we know an answer, maybe we can dig deeper into the question that the person is asking. When we cross question a question, we get deeper insight into the question, and we may be able to answer that actually. But if we don't know at all, it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I appreciate the question, I would look deeper into it. That these are some of the tricks
True.
of handling, such scenarios when we get stuck. I think
Yes.
they've also asked that what we get stuck. When we are getting stuck, it could possibly because of the memory, short circuit that happened in that particular
People
moment.
cram it, of course. I've seen it, or I've done it in early stages when I was in school. I think we all have done it. Let's suppose you have your presentation or you have your speech. So a night before, you would just cram all the lines.
Yes, yes, yes.
Majorly, people get tongue tied or they forget because they have a set of lines ready. They've memorized it. In case they forget any of it, they feel okay. Now things are gone. I will not be
Ah,
able to attempt.
yes, yes, yes. We've been there, done that. But one way of getting rid of that is good preparation always has your back. When you're rehearsed well, you majorly 99% of the times you won't be stuck. Even if you're sometimes stuck, as I said, take a deep breath for like 2 seconds. You will make it, right? Having this confidence that I will get through itself is a great asset while speaking or while presenting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And don't you think that if you want to ace your communication skills or if you want to ace your presentation skills, you have to give yourself a chance to be in a situation where you can practice them? How would you want otherwise? Isn't it?
See, of course, like when it comes to the idea of failing, I would love to fail multiple times. Like, why not? Like, if I'm a learner, that humility is a part of my being already. The tiniest bit of arrogance will not let me grow anyway. So, the humility to be embarrassed maybe a couple of times isn't that bad an idea. It's okay to be embarrassed a couple of times and then go through all guns blazing. Why not? A couple of
Yes.
bad days are the indication that good days are coming, so it's okay.
True. And I think Naval asked a question because you said it can be humorous as well. He asked, ma'am, when we give a presentation in a group of people, should it be all serious or we should add a flair of fun in it? What do you have to say?
To this, my question is, what is the context? What is the presentation all about? Is it a serious issue? Is it something which is bothering the business bottom line? Is it something
Mm-hmm.
that has got to do the performances of the team members? If it is not that big an issue, a sprinkle of humor isn't bad. But you should have the idea of how nuances work. If you are not very skilled at humor, don't try it. If you know,
Of
and
course.
there has been examples that how humor works and how to crack a joke and not offend someone, please go ahead with it. But if you have
Mm-hmm.
any doubts, please don't attempt it. I don't recommend that.
Yes. And this is a basic principle of presentation. You need to know your audience well.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Without a tinge of doubt. Having a right idea of who I'm presenting to is perhaps the core of the whole of it. If you're presenting to mid schoolers, right, middle school, if you're a teacher in middle school, giving a lot of spiritual gyan will not work. There it has to be, where the children are involved into something and some, things like that. But if you're presenting at a old age home, let's say you are a volunteer at an old age home and you're talking about something, life and philosophy and all those things will really work. So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, you nailed it, Shruti, when you said that it's really about the audience. As I said in the beginning, it's never about you. You are just a medium, an instrument of delivering a message. That medium
Yes.
is best used when the focus is on the audience and the content. That works pretty fine every time.
Exactly. And I think Manmohan has asked a relevant question. He said that the main issue I face while giving a presentation is the pauses I have while speaking. So, how would you
Manmohan,
address it?
thanks, Shruti, from bringing it up. Manmohan, I think pauses are one of the most beautiful ornaments of speaking. Like, if I
Yes.
give you the example of Steve Jobs, even Atal Bihari Vajpayee, although he had longer pauses, when they speak with a certain hold, I mean, when anyone speaks with a certain hold on their own topic, they tend to give pauses. And those are really bold pauses. You can feel the pause for a while, and then the energy builds up. Now, I understand what you're talking about. You're talking about getting stuck while speaking. Getting stuck and get paused and pausing voluntarily are two different aspects. When you get stuck, you will see often that you could be speaking fast. Possibly, not necessarily, but possibly you could be speaking fast, and then suddenly you forget which word to use, which idiom to use, what phrasal verb to use, or what point you had marked up. Slowing down the process of speaking can do wonders when it comes to fillers, foghorns, or even uncomfortable pauses. First, slow down your pace of speech. Second, if you feel like you got stuck, like I said before, take a deep breath and restart again. Maybe repeat the previous point that you were talking. And in the process, your brain will find additional 5 seconds to catch up with what it forgot last time. It will work, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly. And as you said, fillers, or you need to understand, are you taking pauses? Are there abrupt pauses? Means you're not able to think of what should be the next line. So
Yeah.
get rid of abrupt pauses. However, pauses gives you an extra edge.
Yes.
Sometimes we have seen people rushing up as if,
Hmm.
okay, there's a train and I must say it in one stretch, otherwise I'll forget the thought. It's better you stay calm. That's why breathing exercises work. You
Yes,
breathe,
true.
you let your brain relax first and then start speaking. Right?
I love what Win Jiang says. I mean, Win Jiang is one of the finest public speakers that when you add pauses voluntarily, you allow people to register what you have just spoken. If you're on a continuous train of speaking, people do not get that little window to register your speech. People need to understand what you've spoken and then move on to a next thought. Just because you have come prepared with all of this, the audience is not ready. You have to let them have their own comfort window to register, to let the thoughts percolate, and then move on to the next. It's pertinent that we add pauses, but with a certain style, with our own control. That's the point.
Now that you have told many things to our learners, I want learners just grasp it up because it's important to have the sense of presentation skills no matter from which background you come. So first thing first, be prepared. Secondly, you need to take breath, relax it up. It's okay to take pause. Focus
Yeah.
on pre-presentation practices. It can include, writing your content well or be mindful of your audience or anything. Now that all
Yes.
these things are covered, I want the activity should be there in our learners. I
Mhm.
was just trying to see what kind of ideas they are writing up in the chat section. I think it's time to take a quick test. Okay.
Sure. Why not?
Let's see whether
Absolutely.
they were active when you were delivering them many things. As they say, it's all about practice. If you're not practicing, just listening, nothing would work.
Right.
So, Mr.
I
Madhav,
don't doubt them at all. I don't doubt them at all.
okay,
Everyone has
let's
been pretty
see.
active.
So this is going to be a test of your students. Let's see if you could help them. Okay, so my little activity, or you say a question, would be whenever we present ourselves. Of course, maybe you have presented yourself earlier, or in case you have not. So today we are giving you a scenario. Okay, feel as if you are in formal settings. In formal settings, let's suppose you're going to have a word about your childhood with your friends.
Hmm.
Okay, or maybe to your teacher. Sometimes it happens when you are in session, when you comes in EnglishYaari session, teacher says, oh, give me a glimpse of your childhood, what kind of personality you had in your childhood. So same is the topic for you all. The topic given is childhood memories to all of you. How would you open the conversation? What
Wow.
would be the initial start? L- let's see if they could gauge all the points you just delivered.
I'm more than sure everyone will deliver the best because childhood is the most, or let's say, the dearest part of our life, right? With a bit of
Yes.
a with a bit of a cane beating that we millennials got. I'm not sure about the Gen Z, but we millennials were people who had a lot of caning back in those days.
True.
Bittersweet memories, though. But yeah, surely worth
Yeah,
remembering.
meanwhile, all our learners are writing. I'm repeating once again, you are given a situation where you have to talk about childhood memories. So, whenever it comes to presentation skills, first thing first, how you open the conversation. So,
Yeah.
I want you to tell me, how would you begin telling about your childhood entails? How would you explain? So, the starting. Meanwhile, all our learners are writing. Mr. Madhav, here we have a question from Naval. I want you to answer it. Naval says, when giving a presentation, should we use advanced vocabulary or not? As some people may understand its meaning while others may not.
Thank you, Naval. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Thank you for bringing it up. Actually, presentations come with a certain intention. What is the intention of a presentation? To inform people, to educate people, or to talk about what you're trying to tell. So the easiest of words, which makes the which delivers the message without complicating it, without adding any technical words or jargons, it is the best presentation. Now, if you are presenting at an English literature club, that's a different matter altogether. But if it's not, no need to use bombastic words, how high sounding words, heavy words, absolutely not required. If the audience is not ready for it, or if the audience is not going to grab it well, why use it in the first place? Simplicity is always sophistication. And we should never forget.
Absolutely. And see, we just had a word, be mindful of the audience. If you think that people would be able to understand your jargons, go with it, flaunt it. But if not, it's better you go with the easy peasy road where you can express yourself well.
Hmm.
Okay, and now we have so many answers in the chat box ready. Would you like to appreciate some of them and acknowledge?
Of course, I'm all ready for it. Right. So I think okay, let me go to Gaurav Jain, I
Here we
believe.
have, yes, yes,
To
Gaurav
start
Jain.
with, my childhood was a roller coaster ride. Sometimes I was so happy for small things, and sometimes I was just crying and sitting in a corner. Gaurav, that's a beautiful start. Right? It sums up everyone's childhood. Actually, it's a good one. Actually, Gaurav.
Okay. And even Nalini says, I would end this by saying, don't let the kid in you die. Okay, she just jumped over to the ending. I would be more than happy if you can tell me how would we start it up? How would we open this conversation?
Yes, Nalini, right? Nalini, that's a beautiful sentence to be used somewhere in between or towards the conclusion part, concluding part. But in the beginning, I think you could think, get a little more creative. I can already see you're a creative person, no doubt about it. But probably for
Yes.
the initial part, this wouldn't fit so well.
And we have another one from Kuldeep saying,
Hmm.
I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to talk about my childhood. So, my
Yes.
childhood was fabulous, and I did a lot of things in my childhood. I was quite naughty, kind of child. What do you have to say? Is
again
it the
again
right one?
again it's, it's perfect in the sense that it delivers the emotion that we all can connect to, naughtiness, right? Thrill, and also, fabulous. So he has used a lot of emotions, so I would say yes, good job with that. I think
Yes.
Rohini says childhood means fun, innocent faces. It's all about the phase which when we made, so a couple of grammar errors, but I think we get the point. Yes, it's about
Yeah.
innocence. So yeah, true.
True. And we have one from Manmohan saying, today, let's embark on a journey through the vivid landscapes of our childhood memories, rediscovering moments of joy, innocence, and discovery. Oh my God.
A plethora of great words, I would say, right? If the audience is capable of these words, Manmohan, go for it. Go all guns blazing. No problem with that. But just keep in mind, if the audience is comfortable with the words because you have a good vocabulary, I appreciate that. But if it suits the occasion, feel free. Otherwise, try to, mellow down the words. That's all I can say.
Yes. Akums Enterprises, if I'm saying it right, says remembering childhood memory always gives a awesome and goosebumps. Awesome. Akam, just focus on a little of grammar. Rest, I think your idea is up there.
Mhm, mhm. And awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Then Sachin says childhood means a fantastic fun with friends. Okay. Do you think it's
Fantastic.
fine?
Okay, fantastic. Instead of fantastic, fantastic. I think that's a typo error, not really a mistake. So yeah, of course, childhood. To open up with this line is okay, but you got to maybe back it up with an example, or maybe continue that with a little more thought into it. To opening is okay, but a little bit of continuation will be more helpful because we got to set the context also. So yeah.
Yes, I think it's good. Rohini says childhood means just make a mistake and learn something new. Wow.
Every child is beaten up. Right, we all have
True.
punishment, although of different variety and different intensity to different degrees, but yes, childhood
Yes.
is replete with all these stuff. So yes, that's true.
I'll tell you, Mr. Madhav, why I brought this activity up.
Hmm.
Sometimes, as I could see many of them, they were giving great sentences, but we need to be mindful how you open the conversation, what should
Yeah.
be the main context or the main body, then
Hmm.
your statement, and by then how you conclude. Sometimes they're not ready to understand what would go where.
Right.
Whether some sentences should go in the opening lines or it is a part of a main body. So I want you to explain. Sometimes people say start with a question or start with a joke. What should
Hmm.
be a great start when it comes to presentation skills? How should we open a conversation?
Conversation, especially when it's a presentation, it's a one-way conversation in the beginning, and then we go move on to a Q&A, if the time permits, or if it's part of the arrangement that you got to have a Q&A. Q&A is question and answer, query time, when the presenter is asked a few questions, and by the uh, by the audience or the public or whoever is there. Now, coming to how to begin, I'll say that there is no one way of doing it. As I said, it's really about what kind of context it is. Is it a formal occasion? Is it a casual occasion? It is a semi-formal, semi-casual occasion. It's a very serious occasion, like maybe the business is not doing well. Is it a celebratory mood, even if it's a business? So really, it depends on the context. I know I sound a little repetitive, but that is the truth. If it's a celebratory occasion, start with the best joke you can crack, no problem with it. If it's a occasion where you are actually looking at the losses, the figures in front of you, you have to start with maybe an apology if you are responsible for it. Maybe an apology if it suits, or something. Let's say it's an HR related work, right? These days there's mass firing happening in big companies. How do you address, if you remember, I don't know if you people know about better.com is a company based in the US. So the CEO fired 900 people from their jobs in a matter of like 10 minutes Zoom call, and he had to go through massive backlash for doing it. See, this is coming from a CEO of a company, a billion dollar company. So we all have to be mindful of what exactly is the context and how do we deliver. In a casual occasion, any line goes because no one is really mindful of what you're saying. There are no fixed opening lines as such, and there can never be. What is comfortable for you and what suits the occasion is the actual answer to it. Does this make sense, Shruti?
Absolutely, it does. See, if you, in a nutshell, if I could say,
Hmm.
understand the topic. On which topic am I going to speak? Not
Yes.
always topics are hilarious. Today I gave you childhood, so now it's easy peasy where you can
Hmm.
play along with words. You can bring anecdotes. We had great childhood, so you can
Hmm.
bring something that can be a nostalgic moment for all of us. Maybe, as you said, that we all have been beaten by parents if you
Hmm.
do something crazy, or maybe playing pranks on friends. Now, when you do these things, it helps your audience to feel connected with you. Same
Hmm.
goes with a serious conversation. If you're having a serious conversation,
Hmm.
instead of being judgmental or giving sides as an orator or as a speaker, just understand the language, understand on which set I should speak, and then go with it. Go with
Right.
ease.
Now, I would
Right.
like to, bring in just one more point here. When it comes to a topic, not just the opening or the body part or the conclusion, the topic itself is, the topic itself is the primary part here. Obviously, the audience comes first, but second comes topic. How do we go with a topic really is about purpose before even preparation. Like there is a saying in English, you play like you practice, right? Ultimately you're going to play like you practice, but before that, what is the intention, what is the purpose of this whole presentation? When you're clear with your intention, when you have a clarity on your purpose, preparation and presentation will be rather easier, let's say. Now one has to remember that ultimately it's about the just two or three takeaways that the audience is going to go away with. So throughout your
Yes.
presentation, whatever you're talking or presenting through a PPT, make sure that the lesson that you want or the information you want to be delivered has to be repeated at least a couple of times. few times, so that when they walk out of that room or walk away from that place, they go away with the key takeaways that you want them to take away with. Right?
Yes.
That's the key to all of it.
True that. Yes, and before we wrap up, one thing I would definitely like to tell everyone. Though, Mr. Madhav, you tried sharing so many things, how we can start a conversation, opening, closing, and in meanwhile, how you can understand your audience well and what should be the right way of taking pauses. Unless
Correct.
and until you practice, nothing is going to work. Right.
100%.
No matter how many times we come live, we explain you the concept. If you're not implementing it, if you're not brushing it up, this would be a dream, a halo dream of yours that, okay, maybe one day I would just get up and be fluent in English. So it's right time for you to practice. And here I have a small goodie. As it's Sunday, and Sunday is always special for us. So at English Yaari, we also have a special Sunday offer where they can get up to 45% discounts on their whatsoever subscription they buy. So I think they should just book the session. But apart from this, as this is now a thing of ours, we try coming on live and we give some of the free sessions to our learners as a token of appreciation. Because if you could notice, before we even went on live, I could see people waiting.
Yes,
So
yes, that's the sincerity that really humbles me. Like, I love this sincerity. As learners coming with sincerity is the best part for any tutor.
true, yes. And even now, we want you to work on. You showed sincerity. You knew that this topic is going to be little serious. Not always things can be easy. Presentation skill itself is so vast, you can never get over it. Right? One or the
Right,
other. There's so many flares. Maybe right
right.
now you're working on your opening, and tomorrow you realize, okay, I need to work on my creative ideas as well.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's, see, there are lots of things. There's body language. There's a certain way of dressing for it if it's a very formal occasion. So there is no end. I mean, at least in 40 minutes we cannot really add everything that's possible, because it's a full-fledged in MBA. It's a full-fledged course, how you present yourself, for different scenarios, different topics. So we tried to do the best we could in 40 minutes. That's all I can say.
Yes, hooray. Yes. But if you want to actually practice and practically implement all these tips in case you feel nervous, it's right time for you to seek for expert guidance in our sessions.
Absolutely.
Whether you go with Mr. Madhav's session or any other tutor session, you'll realize that we focus on your ideas, your ways of presentation. Because if you have good vocabulary and you're not able to articulate, that means there's nothing, right? So
Yeah,
it's going to
true.
be a mixture and a blend of all. So I hope you enjoyed it. All of you could get a lot from what Mr. Madhav just taught you. And I think, Mr. Madhav, it's now a time where we have to announce three winners of
Hmm.
today's live session. So
Right.
whosoever you felt was quite active and tried understanding and asking questions. So I want you to bring one name to me.
Right. I think I'll. This is the most difficult part, right? There's so much involvement from everyone,
Yes,
and you feel already guilty being a judge, right? You're no one to judge anyone, but since you have put
true.
me on the pedestal today, I have to do the honors. And I'm already sorry for anyone who is not winning it. It's not about you. Maybe we are the ones who are at fault for designing it this way, right? So
True.
I'll probably go with first Gaurav, and the second one I'll let Shruti choose. So Gaurav, first, congratulations to you. I think you have done a good job.
Okay. All right. So now the ball is in my court. So I would
Yeah,
like to give a huge shout out to Naval, not just because he was active today, but I must tell you, from all the lives together, I've seen him coming on time, asking doubts, and understanding what we bring. So kudos to you. And as we say, hard work pays off. Here comes our third and final winner. Any guesses, Mr. Madhav?
I am short of guesses. I'll just wait and watch and rejoice for anyone who's winning.
Okay, all right. So the last session would be for Kuldeep.
Kuldeep. Okay, Kuldeep. Great.
Yes. To all those, as I always say, see, it's not just about delivering three sessions. This is just a way where we can boost you up and say that, hey, hard work pays off. You were quite active throughout. At least for 40 minutes, it's a really big deal to listen someone and to absorb what they have to say. Now that you've done a great job, it's a little goodie that can, I hope, bring smile on your face. But to all those, We are not saying that we'll not take sessions. You can come on English Yaari anytime you want, and we'll be up there to provide the services, isn't it?
100%. Like you're more than welcome. And it's really about your journey. We are only here to facilitate you in the process, right? It's your purpose,
Absolutely.
your goal, your journey. We are just a co-traveler for a little time, you know.
Uh-huh. Yes. Now people are just here and saying, thank you so much for being here. It's time for us to wrap it up. And on
Yes,
a note that we'll meet again whenever you have any doubt, any question, and you want any particular topic to be there on our next live, feel free to put it in the comment section and we'll make sure that we address your doubts. Right?
sure, absolutely.
Okay. So before we wrap up, Mr. Madhav, is there going to be any bonus tip for all our learners from your end?
Bonus tip, as far as today's topic was concerned, is a lot of our presentation issues stem from our self identity. um, my skin color, my height, my weight, my accent, my mother tongue influence. So the moment you write down your whole identity issues, that this is what is bothering me as my identity, those three, four, five, six identities, and you tear off that paper and dump that in a dustbin, and then go and present. You'll see that you are much more lighter. There's no burden on you, and you're here just as an instrument of delivering the information and educating people or whatever. Get rid of your
Absolutely.
identities, and you will be unburdened. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's quite heavy to absorb. So let them just sink in what you have just delivered. And we will be seeing all of you next time. And thank you so much, Mr. Madhav, for enlightening
Thank
our
you,
learners
Shruti.
today and joining me here.
Thank you, Shruti, and thank you everyone for wonderful people, wonderful learners for being here today. It's both ways. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right.